So I watched a short video from a collaboration of Shia Speaks and Joe Bartolozzi. Great collab, by the way, where they were talking about the fact that nobody can even think for themselves anymore. And honestly, I have yet to finish the video in full transparency. I'm like 4 minutes in, but it just got me wanting to yap because this is also another opinion that I think I've also seen David Achu talk about recently, where nobody really knows how to think for themselves anymore. And it's like insanely problematic. When it comes to like forming opinions on the internet, I feel like people always and automatically jump to the comment section before they even think of an opinion themselves. And I've realized that maybe years ago when I was scrolling through social media, I would also kind of follow suit in this to a certain degree, but like I find it mildly disturbing. I realize, not even mildly disturbing, I find it pretty disturbing that that's the case now. And I find myself to be a pretty well opinionated person, capable of making their own decisions, but I also realize that there are safety in numbers, and I feel like most people on social media recognize that. But even though there are safety in numbers, it doesn't always mean that the numbers are right. We've seen countless times where the internet will completely pile on somebody. It's like either somebody who is completely undeserving, maybe they were a little bit corny at one point, maybe they did something that was a little bit off-putting, or maybe they're even accused for something crazy, who knows. But like, the internet will pile and hate on a specific individual just for the hell of it or just for the memes, and people will tag on to that sort of thing just because it's a current trend. I think they brought up the example of what was currently happening to Myth. I don't really know Myth that well or know the background. I know him as a streamer, but like apparently he had a few clips back then that by the sounds of it, so far as they're describing it in this video, weren't even like bad. It wasn't him saying anything off-putting. It wasn't him saying anything like misogynistic or racist or just like bigoted at all. It was just him being corny, which I'm pretty sure everybody on the internet, whoever makes videos, will have a corny phase. It's just guaranteed. I think that's just the thing with aging. You will look back automatically, no matter how cool you are, no matter how relaxed, no matter how laid back or nonchalant you are, you will look back in time, and if you have grown as a person, you will think that the past is pretty cringy. That's just something everybody goes through. But in terms of saying that, it is very disturbing that like people don't think for themselves and immediately resort to making their opinion whatever the comment section says. And I said I did this a few years back, but now the way that I've actually found to combat the videos is that I usually I usually watch the entire video to its entirety, especially in short form content, and form the opinion myself. It sounds weird, but maybe I'll whisper it, maybe I'll just think about it out loud, who knows, and just say specifically that, hey, this is my opinion on said video. And then I will open the comment sections and kind of have a thought experiment with myself to see if my opinion changes. But at least I'm well aware and informed of what my opinion is before I go seeking others. And I feel like that's the way that I've at least been able to kind of grasp forming my own opinions once again and staying away from bandwagoning like a lot of people do. But so many times has bandwagoning been incorrect, or so many times has bandwagoning led to just zero critical thinking skills. And especially now in a day of so much fucking misinformation, it's even more horrifying that people can't think for themselves, because it's just like, you're going to be fed some bullshit on the internet, and if 5, 10, 20, or 100 people also agree with it, you're immediately going to follow suit, even though probably internally you can tell that something is off about this. And in a world where like greedy ass corporations and shit feed off of our stupidity and ignorance to a lot of issues, that only makes things 10 times worse. Look, sometimes opinions will match up and you will agree with people, but disagreement is where the opportunity to be able to discuss and talk about shit comes to fruition. But if y'all can't think for your fucking selves, we're already cooked as is. I know that a large portion of the internet is basically kids or like teenagers that, you know, haven't necessarily been fully developed in terms of their thought process, but I think it's still important because a lot of us are older. A lot of us do have a fully developed frontal lobe, and yet we're still following suit into this like sheepish mindset. I don't fucking know what to call it. Social media runs off of the loudest people, not the most correct, not the best opinionated things or people, but the loudest people. Meaning I could probably, I mean, there's grifters on the internet, right? Like, you could make a bullshit career yapping shit out loud, and you will have people in an echo chamber saying the same thing. And it only influences more people to think the wrong opinion if the majority of people are shouting out this one thing. I'm a person that usually tries to like listen to their intuition just because I think it's there for a reason. I'm not like superstitious or like super spirited or anything along the lines of that, but I think that sense belongs there for a reason for a lot of us. And unfortunately, we live in a world where people tend to ignore that and just go with the herd because it seems safer. But I think it's important that us, not only as creators, but also the consumers of said content, really, really take a look inwards and realize that there's a lot of shit wrong with just going with the herd. Learn to think for your fucking selves. That's it. Leave.